Is your project team slowly dying? Is your project team losing motivation and quietly checking out? Here, let me be honest with you. This is really the honest truth here today. There are more people quitting on project managers. And if you take it too personal, I've done that. You won't be able to partner with ones that really want to work with you. My mentor one day we were talking, and it just made me think about a quote that I put together for you today, family. And this is a quote that I came up with. People may quietly quit on you, but you must keep pushing forward. Focus on working with those who are committed and passionate about getting the job done. True success comes from perseverance, collaboration with a dedicated individual. That is your boy, E.D. Coke. All right, let's get into today's episode. I want to unpack it, so hopefully we can have some fun here today. First of all, let's understand and unpack the definition of quiet quitting. Quiet quitting, according to Google, quiet quitting refers to employees who disengage from their roles for an extended period before eventually leaving their position. This trend is also known as silent quitting, silent resignation, soft quitting, and of course, quiet resignation. Point number one, letting go. I struggle with this sometimes, family, but I've come to learn as I continue to grow and personally as well as professionally. Sometimes you just have to let it go. In projects, it's the same thing as life. Not everybody that started with you will make the decision to stay. That's deep. You know why it's deep, family? Because I know it sounds like a harsh reality. I know it sounds very curt, as they would say, but it's the truth. See, a lot of times people will start with you with best intentions that they want to keep going with you. But as the journey gets challenging, as the journey gets difficult, they make the decision, they make the choice to say, well, you know what, I'm done. So I want to give you some actionable items here. First thing you want to do is talk with resources and or resource and resources, depending on how many people it is that you're dealing with in this impact. And you want to see if you can get through them. You want to be able to have a real transparent conversation and understand, are they truly here to really support the project? And if they are and support you, then they need to communicate to you what's going on. I know sometimes in life, there could be some personal things that impact your job performance, but let me know that ahead of time, because I'm over here assuming that you don't even want to be here. And if you don't want to be here, let me do it again. Let it go. If you had multiple conversations and nothing changed, it's truly time to allow this person to move on. And guess what? Let it go. Let's move on to the next point. Identify signs of disengagement. What I realize is that if you start noticing team members are consistently late to meetings or missing deadlines or really showing a lack of interest in their work, take note of these particular patterns early. A lot of times you can catch this early, like I said, when they're missing meetings or they're missing deadlines or their attitude shifts to something that is very more passive aggressive. A lot of times you don't pick up on that if you're more a new project manager. So I want to give you this information now if you decide to get in this thing that I love, that I hope you fall in love with, called project management. Because if you start taking notes on some of these different patterns, you're going to understand quickly and fastly, okay, I need to use this actionable tip each said. Use a checklist to monitor signs such as attendance, participation, and missed deadlines. Document patterns and address them early. Like I said, the earlier you can address things and the earlier you can get ahead of this, the better it's going to be, not just for you, but the entire project team. Because the whole theory, one bad apple, it can ruin it for a bunch. One bad project team member that decides to quiet quit can ruin it for the entire bunch. Let's move on to the next one. Start micro mentoring sessions. Micro mentoring sessions. These are the like scheduling rather than long mentoring sessions. These are more bite size. I love what James Clear talks about getting better 1% at a day. Sometimes we try to do like, oh, we're gonna join a gym and we're gonna do 10 reps of this set, and 10 reps here and another set here, and we're gonna use this equipment and that equipment. And you look up a month later, all of a sudden you stop doing your workout. So I love what James Clear talks about in Atomic Habits. Start at 1%. Start doing one thing. Just get started. So actionable tip, do a 30-minute mentoring session with senior team members and share specific skills and experience. Let's move on to point number 4. Clarify objectives, expectations, and rules. Family, it's really important to communicate to project team members' roles in the project and why their contributions in the project is valuable. See, if someone feels that they're not valuable, it may not have anything to do with you. It may have nothing to do with the project team. It's just the perception of I'm not valued here, or they don't appreciate what I could bring to the table, as they would say. So, and you also want to include the expectation. So there's no confusion what is expected from them. A lot of times we have these fake expectations, or these expectations. Oh, watch this, family. These expectations that are in our mind, but we didn't verbally communicate what the expectation is of the actual individual. Here's an actionable tip. Use visual aids like charts, checklists to make responsibilities clear. Listen, family, I know we could probably build a whole racing, which I'll talk about that, but we need to start minimal, because if you start minimum, you'll be able to execute that better. Let's move on to the next one. Create accountability partnership. Message, anytime I say message, this is important. This is something you want to tune into. This is something, I don't care if you're looking at anything else, you need to lock into this particular point. Why is that, ED? Because when you have an accountability partner, almost like someone that is saying, hey, you said you're going to make this commitment and not this interest, then that person feels like, hey, I'm not only accountable to myself, I'm also accountable to my actual partner. And that is important, family. I realize how this system, or what I call almost like a buddy system, that each person can rely on if they miss something. And also what it can do is maybe they don't feel comfortable talking to the group about what they're dealing with. This can be a good system for them if they're dealing with something and they've built a strong enough partnership in which will allow them to have transparent conversation and be vulnerable. Here's an actionable item. Pair team members to check in on each other progress and offer support. And what you want to do to keep this mixture up and keeping the team constantly engaged, you want to rotate these pairs monthly. Next particular point, let's go on to point number 6. Implement a 3-2-1 feedback rule. Message, there's a lot of messages in here today. If you're new to the episode, again, when I say message, again, this is something you want to lock into, you want to pay attention to. This particular structure encourages problem solving. See, what I love about this, here's the actionable tip. If you are in a team meeting, have each person share 3 things going well, 2 challenges, and watch this, family, 1 solution they propose. See, a lot of times what people will do to you, they will bring you problems. They will bring you situations. They will concerns, but they will never take the time to give you a proposed solution. So what does that tell you? That they're so locked in and so focused in on what the problem is that they never took time to reassess what are some proposed solutions. So I recommend, family, that this 3-2-1, again, 3 things going well, 2 challenges, and 1 solution that they propose. Let's move to the next point. Introduce responsibility rotation. This provides leadership's opportunities and fresh perspective. Here's an actionable tip. Rotate leadership of team meetings or specific project areas monthly. When I talk about introducing responsibility rotations, it looks like if you are always leading a meeting, you get with one of your project team members and say, hey, I want you to lead today's meeting, but you definitely give them far in advance so they can prepare for today's meeting. This way, and then if they say, well, you're the project manager, you're right, but let me tell you the value I could give when you're leading this. Now you can have a better insight of what's going on. And plus I can watch, I can watch the audience or the project team in a sense of kind of what their body language is. And if it's virtual, then I can kind of understand if they're really paying attention. And you're like, how can you see if they're paying attention if it's virtual? You can tell by the questions that they ask. You can tell by how engaged they are with the actual conversation. Let's move on to point number 8. Implement an anonymous suggestion box. Oof. This technique can be used to identify the root. See, there's a difference, family. I'll park here parenthetically. The root means we're getting down to the bottom, the nitty gritty. When we talk about the root, we don't talk about the surface layer. Surface layer doesn't do any good for the project team. So the root is what is really going on within the team. Keep in mind, this is really anonymous, but there's a catch here. Here's another actionable tip that's going to make this really good. Oh, this is getting good to me. Here's actionable tip. For each criticism must be prepared with a proposed solution. Mhm. So if you got an issue, I need a solution. Why am I talking in this way? Why am I always driving towards a proposed solution, a proposed solution? Because again, I want the project team to start thinking outside the box. If we're always in the box dealing with what's going on and all the problems, we will be distracted from actually executing on the project. Here's my first bonus. Launch project myth busters. This is about improving the transparency and trust. Here's the actionable tip. Address common misconceptions or rumors about the project in a weekly email and or meeting segments. Here's my last and final bonus, and then I'll go to my closing thoughts. Introduce skill stretch assignments. What does that mean? That means that you promote growth and which will allow to prevent from stagnation. Here's my actionable tip. Regularly assign tasks slightly outside of team members' comfort zone. You know what we hear. We always look to be uncomfortable, even though we may appear comfortable, because what this does is stretches us. This is giving us an opportunity to grow, and with growth opens the door for opportunities. Here's my 3 closing remarks, family, and I'll let you be on your way. Whew, I'm sweating up here, but we're going to get this work in. Letting go. Like I said before, just to sum this up, sometimes you really have to let go. I wish that it didn't have to be this way, but if you continue to hang on to somebody or to hold on to a project team member that don't want to be there, then what are we talking for? Why are we even doing this? Why are we wasting each other's time when you won't take the time to reach out to me and I'm constantly reaching out to you to figure out, hey, talk to me. Let me know what's going on. If you don't want to go into details, that's fine, but let me know how I can support you. Point number 2, implement that 3-2-1 feedback rule. I talked about that again. The 3 things that goes well or going well, 2 challenges, and then my favorite, 1 solution they propose. And the last and final one is implement an anonymous suggestion box. Basically, you take people's suggestions, and here's the trade-off. Even though it's a suggestion, or let's say you identified an issue, you want to prepare that with a proposed solution. Well, family, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I go by the name of ED. This has been another one. I hope you could tell that, man, I am sweating up here, but it doesn't matter. I was super excited about today's episode because I truly have experience where people quiet quit on me. And it is frustrating because you start falling down that rabbit hole or that trap of thinking, oh, it's my fault. I'm the one that created it. And maybe you did. But what if you didn't? What if it was something personal going on with that individual? Or what if something professional going on with that individual, but it's still having an impact on your project? I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And again, I go by ED. For all you smart and intelligent folks out there, it just simply means Ed. Until next